there is a positive commandment on the holiday of Succos that we must take the four species, the lulav, the palm branch, the esrog, the citron, the hadas, the myrtle, and the arova, the willow. These are the four species. And the Torah tells us they must be taken on the first day of the holiday of Sukkos. As it says, "Ulekachtem lochem b'yom harishon," you should take it for yourselves on the first day of the holiday. What are the symbolisms of these four species? The palm branch, the esrog, the citron, the myrtle, and the willow. So the Midrash tells us that the palm branch represents something which is fruit, which is inedible. The citron, the esrog, is fruit, but it also has a fragrance. The myrtle has a fragrance, but is not inedible. The willow is neither. It's not inedible, doesn't represent inedible, and it has no fragrance. What do these four species, what do they symbolize and signify? So the Midrash says, a person who has Torah and mitzvos. The Torah itself is that is the edible, that is the meat, that is the essence of the Jew. The mitzvos are the fragrance. That represents the person who has Torah and mitzvos. The lulav, the palm branch, is just the edible. The Jew could have Torah, but he's not exemplary. In the observance, he's not meticulous in the performance of the mitzvos. The myrtle is fragrance, is a Jew who observes mitzvos, but he doesn't study Torah. And then we have the willow, which is neither. A Jew is devoid of Torah and of mitzvos, which is classified as a Rasha. But the Torah tells us, God says, factually, we're all God's children. Whether you're this classification or that classification, even the willow, which has no value unto itself, nevertheless God says, take all of the species, bind them together, v'yavo elu v'yichapro elu, and each one should come to atone for the other. The binding, how does that bring about an atonement? Factually, if a person observes the Torah its entirety, but he says, my success is my success, and my setback is my setback, I have nothing to do with the Jewish people, although he's a Jew. Although he observes the Torah meticulously, he has no share in the world to come. This person is classified as a Porish Minat Tzibor. God only has a relationship with the Jewish people, not with an individual. If the individual is part of the Jewish people, then God has a relationship with him. But if a person severs himself, although he's exemplary in his spiritual descent, God is not interested. Because God has no relevance to anybody who's not part of the Jewish people. The Rasha, we're not speaking about a person who's a heretic. He doesn't believe in God. He believes in God. Unfortunately, he's lax in his Torah study. He's lax in his mitzvah observance. So therefore, he is connected to some degree. So if we bind him and we wrap him and we embrace him, ultimately, he is seen not only as part of the Jewish people, he will be warmed, and through just the environment, the spiritual environment, will be affected and influenced to be more than the willow, but ultimately he may become the fruit, and the fruit that gives off a fragrance.